Good evening, everybody. This is Let's Talk About It. It is a live broadcast tonight, sponsored by the Harford County Health Department Minority Health Program. This is a program where we bring awareness to health and public health issues that affect us right here in Harford County, and especially towards our Black and Brown community. But the information that we provide, as most of you know, it can be used wide and readily to anyone here in Harford County. We are really excited because we haven't been live in a very long time, and we have some special guests with us here tonight. I have a few announcements to make. If you see the ticker at the bottom, we are getting ready for one of our biggest events of this year. If some of you remember, we did a mental health lock-in, which we have now changed the name of it and called it a youth symposium for our young men. We did that in May of this year at the Aberdeen Epic Center. We had a great turnout there. And most of you know that the reason why we created the symposium was because of the outcry of mental health and depression and anxiety that a lot of our young people experienced during the pandemic. Not only our middle and high schoolers, but parents were especially affected by the residual effects of distant learning, being in the house with family members longer than they might have planned to be, food insecurities, finding out more about their family members than they might not have normally known. And so as community members and as leaders and as institutions, we realized we just could not sit idly by and allow these numbers to continue to rise, where suicidal attempts were rising. Our kids were having missing blocks. Socially, they really were having some problems connecting. And we have all these experts in the community. And sometimes, along with our best efforts, we might not always know what to do. So we created a youth symposium to reach our young people first. We started with the young men. We did the basketball event. We had John T. Not So Small Hall from the Harlem Globetrotters there. We had fraternities there that were able to love on our young men. But guess what? This time, we are reaching out to our middle and high school young ladies. And let me tell you something. Harford County, you all showed up. And not just the Edgewood, not just Joppa. We have girls coming from all over the county. We have North Hartford that's going to be in the house. We got Bel Air, Abingdon, and you all topped the charts. We had young people, we had to cut off registration because we have presently 100 plus girls registered. And so let me tell you, for those that are listening, that parents that are out there, if you are in the chat right now, please stay tuned. And I see someone there that just said, I'm in need of a psychiatrist. Listen, stay tuned for this particular show. We're going to have some resources for you. So please stay tuned. Share this broadcast. Share it with others that you might feel as though need this. But getting back to the youth symposium right now, we need to be excited. Not only do we have 100 plus girls registered, but let me tell you what they're going to get that night. We had our team of leaders, young people, come together over the past 7 months to create an experience that they will feel not only loved and encouraged, but they will feel supported. I'm going to put the flyer up here in just a second. Here it is right here. It's called I, You, We Matter. It's the Youth Symposium. Let me try to take some of this stuff off the screen for you so you guys can see it. We have Miss Maryland International. She will be there. We have another guest facilitator. His name is Dr. Arif Vega. He is the Chief DEI Officer of Programs of Cultural Competencies for the Minority Health Program and Health Disparities. And that is from the Maryland Department of Health. And he's going to be addressing cultural competencies. And when I'm talking about cultural competencies, I'm talking about those things that help our young people socially interact with one another. We're going to be talking about dysmorphia. We're going to be talking about depression and anxiety. And we're also going to be giving them information about encouragement, meaning like affirmations, vision boards. They're going to get bathrobes, full bathrobes from the health department. They're going to get self-care kits. They're going to get kits that talk about their monthly and how to take care of themselves, because we know that that can add stress. So we're going to have different items for them there. There's going to be a next step session from 6:30 to 7:30. And if you're listening and you're a parent that have registered your child, you can come and be a part of that session. We'll have Harvard Community College there. We'll have people there from the YMCA. We're going to have Morgan State Coding Camp there. So even if you have a young lady that says, well, I'm not really interested in going to a fourth-year university, we will have information there, different camps and internships that they can look at that might spark their interest later. Okay, guess what? We are also going to have Victoria's Secrets is going to be in the house that night, measuring for bras. And they're going to be loved on in such a special and wonderful way. They'll have dinner that night. Chick-fil-A will be there giving us dinner. But parents, 6:30 to 7:30, please stay and see what your community is doing for outreach for your young ladies. And yes, eventually in May, we will have another one for young men. Again, I want to make sure that you all know we aren't really accepting walk-ins, but if for some reason you're listening to me tonight and you say, I didn't hear about it, give us a call. Give Felicia a call, give Michelle a call, give the health department a call, and let's see what we can do to work this out. But it is important that our community knows that we care about you, that you matter, and where your children going in life, they matter, that we have resources available out here for you. And so, in light of that, as you've seen the flyer, we have an expert on tonight that she's a friend of mine, a community friend of mine that I want to bring on in just a minute. Also, I forgot to make one other announcement. We also have a special guest, Miss Maryland International, Tanya Williams. She's going to be there in full regalia, crown and everything, to talk with the girls. We'll have Mahisa Green there this evening, and she is one of our good community friends, and she's going to be doing our opening. So we have a lot of great things that are going to be happening this coming Friday, November 18th, at the Aberdeen Epic Center. And we want you and your young people to be a part of it. Yes, registration has closed. However, if for some reason we can't take everybody, but we might take a few, if you give us a call and let us see how we can accommodate you for that evening. So just getting into our next segment of this, and we're not going to be on here all night, but when Michelle and I are going out, she's another one of our wonderful community health workers. When we're out in the community, yes, we are over some of the major parts of the pandemic. Everybody is back outdoors. Everybody, our kids are back in school. They're not necessarily wearing masks. Some people are. But the residual effect of our young people and dealing with mental health has been something that's been ongoing. In the Black community, has always been a topic of what goes on in my house stays in my house type of atmosphere. So I'm going to bring on a special guest tonight, and we are going to conversate about mental health and the stigma in the Black community. And while we're doing that, I know that some people in the chat have asked, I need a psychiatrist. Well, we'll have some information just for you to come later on in the broadcast. So I'm getting ready to bring her on. Her name is Dr. Jeanette Ellison. She's a biologist and she's a health scientist. And she has a unique connection to youth and mental health in our community. Please help me welcome her. Hello, hello, Dr. Antoinette. How are you?
Um, can you hear me? Can you
We
hear me
can hear
now?
you. Yes, yes.
Hi, thank you for introducing me, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. So, thank you so much. I look forward to talking with everyone a little more about this particular topic. It is an important topic. So,
Absolutely. And Dr. Antoinette, if you could, I'm going to turn this down a little bit. If you could you share a little bit about not only who you are, but where what your background is as well for our audience members.
okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Oh, I'm losing my lost my camera.
Oh no,
Lost my camera. So sorry about that. Crash and
that's
burn
okay.
early on. So yeah, sorry about that. But no, I just want to. I'll share with you what I do. As was mentioned, I'm a biologist and a health scientist, and one of my passions is mental health and emotional well-being, um, for all, for the youth of today, for everyone, various ages. And now I did do research on emotional well-being in the workplace because I did my dissertation on that, as a matter of fact, because I was concerned about um, people having stress and having issues and not being able to cope. And I know from time to time we all experience something, um, and we don't know how to address it. We don't know how to, we may be confused. We may not know what to do. We may be extremely depressed. There's all kinds of things. And I've seen it in the workplace. I've seen it in the schools. I've seen it many places. And, and me, myself in college, got to a point where I said, oh, this is very stressful. It's a very stressful time. I want to graduate. What can I do? And that extra stress was just enough to say, take a break, take a deep breath, and then move forward from there. So, my research was on emotional well being because it is an important topic. We talk a lot about mental health, and when we say mental health, there's a stigma behind mental health. But I have a passion in my heart for us to address the emotional part of it. Why are we sad? What is it that we need to do to be happy? Are we comparing ourselves to someone else? Can we just like ourselves the way that God made us to be? Why do are we always trying to compete with someone else? Why do we always want to be the one out there that's aggressive to say, "Hey, I'm going to do it my way"? Um, I'm excited to be part of this discussion this evening because, I have a teenage son. I have one son that's made it through the local high school, and then I have another son who's in that realm right now, and that is that teenage mode. And when I compare the two and what my older son went through and my younger son, what he has is going through, in terms of, we're talking about social norms and the way that kids interact. And yes, COVID had a impact on what was happening in the schools, but at the same time, before that even happened, the social norms of kids saying, "Hey, I'm better than you. I can beat you up. We're going to have a fight after school." Those kinds of things are something that also need to be discussed in helping people identify who they are socially, etc. So again, part of my study has been in this realm. I've been involved on the with the government in many aspects, including dealing with people that and people that have died and their families, and talking to them about things as well. So I'm look forward to this discussion. I don't know if I shared everything, Felicia, that I should share,
Oh,
but
no,
just
you did. You saw plenty. In fact, you delved in some of my questions.
okay.
So even along with the lines when we're talking about our teenagers, and we're talking about the fact that the bullying inside of the classrooms, it's
Yes.
coming in so many different ways. It's
Yes.
not coming like, when we were younger, um, they wrote you a letter talking about meet me on the play field at 3 o'clock before the bus. This is where they are on their phones and it's personal. And so we didn't have cell phones back then, and so their whole world that they're encapsulating it on their phones. And so when they get on that bus and come home, where we would have been able to close the door and the world is over and we can communicate with our family, they are taking those phones and their whole world is going to dinner with them, going to bed with them, and it doesn't stop. So they're facing a different type of warfare that we never had to face. It's a new world.
Absolutely.
And so that cyberbullying is something. They're delving into worlds that we've never experienced. And so their minds are going in different ways. And so when we're talking about mental health for our young people today, we have to have, therapists that are equipped to deal with that new world. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And when you mentioned the cell phones, that the cell phones flatten the world for us across the board. When you have that cell phone, you can go to any place you want to in the world. You can talk to celebrities. I remember growing up that I had to write a postcard to to a celebrity to even get a response back. So there was a process in place that we had to follow. But now with the cell phones and all of the technology that we have available for us at our fingertips, a lot of kids and youth believe that they can be rich tomorrow as an influencer. All they have to do is act stupid and go on to Facebook or one of these other things, one of these other venues that's out there,
And
and TikTok, whatever it might be,
Snapchat.
Snapchat, etc. All of those things are out there, and kids want people to see them, except
Mhm.
that when they show themselves, they may not necessarily be their best selves. And in that process, I saw recently there was a young lady who said she was filmed in a she went to a restaurant and she got mad at someone and she let it go. And someone filmed her and put her on social media and said,
Wow.
"Look at this lady." And that person who put her on social media had thousands of hits on that video. And so this person said, "Hey, this is the best, it's a good way for me to make money." And so they were looking for people to be aggressive. But the question I had was, why? Why was that person aggressive? Why did that happen? Now, the person that they filmed was actually on a show, and she said, um, I didn't ask to be filmed. I don't know why I was out there, but now my life has changed. She's embarrassed. She has a lot of other emotional issues going on inside of her. And for some people, that may not be healthy. They may not be able to take all of the harassment that they get and the outcomes that they get for something like that.
Mhm.
So when you mentioned cell phones, that is a big issue, and we have to curtail what our kids do on social media.
So, along with that, Dr. Ellison, I want to share something with parents right now. I understand during the pandemic, we were all trying to adjust. And even before the pandemic, the phones have always been an issue. But I want you to be able to, because I have three girls myself, 23, 21, and a 13-year-old. You have to kind of shake yourselves and get inside your children's world. You have to find a creative way to be a part of it. And I know that a lot of our kids are not on Facebook. So that is why we are talking to the parents today. Okay. I'm going to give you some steps that help me out. My schedule is busy, you know. I know Dr. Ellison's schedule is busy. But what I had to do was find time during that pandemic while we were on that phone and befriend my child. I had to find out what she was looking at and kind of be interested, you know, and ask her what was, who were her friends, who was she was talking to, because my daughters, each one of them individually, fell into some very dark places. And if I was not able to conversate with them and find out where they were on their phones. I don't know, by God's grace, with prayer, fasting, communicating with other people in the family on what I could do to help them, I believe I would have lost one of my children. We have to, at some point, not be afraid to find out what our kids are doing. We've zoned out, they have zoned out, but for their life's sake, it's important that we take some steps to get involved in their world to find out what's going on with them. And also, getting back to the other question that we're talking about, even in the stigma in the Black community, we have this thing that says, what goes on to my house stays in my house. And that has been to a lot of our detriments, because we felt as though survival mode is the only mode that we would be familiar with. So I just have a question about, when we ask for help, you know, do symptoms stem from, are the symptoms stemming from spiritual weakness or personal weakness or character defect?
Now, that's a good question. When we ask for help, I think it's important for us to find that person, or to have that person know someone that you feel comfortable talking to. I know one of the things that I've learned, and we have at the other in some of my duties, we have to take suicide prevention training, and that suicide prevention training says, hey, let's ask some questions. If people are isolated, why are they isolated? How are they feeling? Um, and try to find out who. Try to go to that person and ask for help in some way.
Mhm.
You have bullies out there that won't help you, that will laugh at you, that will point fingers. But there are people out here who care. And
Yes.
when somebody asks you that question, are you okay? Answer them. Or just say, I may need help. Or say something, I'm okay.
Hmm.
And then let that person ask another question. And I'd say just be there for them. One thing that I say to my teenage son is that, hey, I love you, rather than say,
Mm,
oh, you didn't do your schoolwork today, oh, this didn't go right, this went wrong. Back in the day, I remember growing up, and it were stair steps. There were five of us. I was in the middle, and they were very stern on us and what we could do and what we could say. We leaned on
yes.
each other as siblings. However, we didn't have all the things available to us that the kids have today. We didn't have social media. We didn't have all of the TVs, multiple TVs, and all these other things that are right here at our fingertips. We look on TV now, and they're talking about all kinds of things. And so that was a different time and place. But now we move to where we are now. Fast forward to my son now. I just tell him, I love you. And
Hmm.
I want him to take a deep breath, know who he is, and feel good about who he is.
Hmm.
Not worry so much about, oh, you didn't get an A this time. Be comfortable. Love
Hmm.
who God made you to be, and then continue forward from there.
Absolutely. That is an excellent answer to that question, because sometimes us as culturally, we aren't able to always express, and this is not everybody. So I'm not giving this question and saying that no one culturally can respond. This is for those of us that need that extra push. We're in this with you. and all. And so, even spiritually, yes, there is a roadmap that God gives us, but also you need to be able to find a way to sort yourself out. And you need to sit down with somebody to help sort your little self out, even according to the word. You know, it is not taboo. If you don't even want to say it's depression, then you probably need to go and talk to someone, even with your survival mode. You know, we're surviving, so we just, you know, those aches and pains in our bodies, and the doctor says we can't find anything, but yet you're stressed. Yet you're having problems sleeping at night and you just think it's normal. And all, we are giving you a big announcement today, and I'm hoping that you can hear this all over the world. Go and get yourself some help. You know, your life matters to your children and the people that expect to see you on a daily basis. Your life matters and all. And so even when you're going through a stressful time, pick up that phone. We have, by way of announcement, the Klein Family Harvard Crisis Center. We see that information all over the place. And sometimes it kind of goes in like a blur, like, okay, it's available. But let me tell you something. It is just going into the crisis center. I've been there with my children, and I'm being very transparent because I want to be able to save some lives. You know, it was just like making a doctor's appointment. You walk in, you have a friendly staff, and you're seen right away. And this is 24/7. And you say, well, I don't have transportation. I might not be able to get there. Well, guess what, y'all? They have a mobile unit. They will come to where you are. You just have to call the number and get yourself some help. Then the next part is insurance. Some people say, well, I have this particular insurance and it doesn't have that aspect on it. Well, I'm getting ready to put up a number here. Call our behavioral health clinic. They have experts on the other side of that number that will help you navigate those insurance questions that you have. These resources are out here, right here in Harford County, and they are available to you. Some way, somehow, you're going to be able to reach out to the listing of culturally competent therapists that can meet your needs. And if you can't get on here, you can give us a call. We have another list that we can give you to be able to help you. This is an all hands on deck effort. You are not alone. So I'm going to go on to my next question. Um, so we talked about like the causes and the symptoms. Sometimes even, you know, this refers to beliefs about whether an illness is acute. You know, like, is mental illness an acute thing, or is it cyclic? Like, is it like come in cycles or chronic?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say, you shared a lot of good information there, and I want to just tell everybody, erase the stigma. Erase the stigma. Do not think, oh, because you have to go to a mental health facility that something's wrong with you. When we break our leg, it's a physical ailment. Everybody says, I hope you get well soon. When you have another issue or someone passes away in your family, I hope you feel better soon. But when it comes to mental health, there's always been this stigma of, oh my gosh, something's wrong with that person. They're going to um, go crazy or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and the reality of it is, no, the mind, as they've said in the past, it's a terrible thing to waste, but it's part of the human body. It's part of
Mhm.
that whole process. And what drives us the most, if you think of our bodies as a car, our minds are the engine that helps move
Yes.
that car forward. Yes, we can have a nice car, we can have a hoopty, a bad car looking car, those kinds of things. I'm a hoopty lady here from time to time. So, but I say that to say, think of it that way. A car can't drive without a good engine. It can't move forward without the wheels on it and good wheels to work. Our bodies are the same way. So I say erase the stigma, and if you feel that, hey, you're a little depressed, you need to talk to someone, there's all kinds of resources out there. You can call, I believe one of them is Talk Soup. There's a couple of them out there. And not only that, I was happy to see um, the swimmer, forgot his name real fast, but the Olympic swimmer who actually said, "Hey, I've had mental health
Michael
issues."
Phillips.
Michael Phillips, thank you. um, he talked about it, and a lot of other athletes are going through the same
Simone
things.
Biles.
Simone Biles, several other athletes out there are going through mental health issues, and it's okay to talk about it. One of the athletes, Draymond Green from the out in the West here, basketball player, he actually had some anger issues. Every now and then he still has the anger issues,
Hmm.
but he looked within himself and started learning about meditation and how important
Mm,
meditation is to calming your soul, to not hearing all those external voices and words from other people that are trying to tear you up and tear you down.
mm.
It's
That's,
important.
wow. You
Yeah.
mentioned some very good names: Simone Biles, Michael Phelps. These are athletes that have operated at the very top of their game. And they were brave enough on the platform they had to say, you know what? I want to live. I need to get some help. And how many lives were saved by them being that brave? You know,
Absolutely.
countless lives. And we were talking offline about this, but Dr. Ellison, could you speak to the event that just happened with those football players um, on today, or over the weekend?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you saw the news this morning, we woke up to University of Virginia and three students being killed on campus at the University of Virginia. And they had a profile for the shooter, and the profile was a black male who was on the football team at one point, and he was also an honor student. An
Mm,
honor
mm,
student.
mm, mm,
They said most recently this evening that they located him and that they have him, under in their hands there in custody. But I had to ask myself, why did that happen? Now, when we think of mental health, we think of someone that's struggling, that's in the dark. They don't want to turn the lights on, those kinds of things. That sometimes happens. Um, there's several pieces to our diagnosis, the same way it is when we break a leg or we break a bone or something like that. But in this case, I know also that sometimes it's just the opposite. We have that person who wants to be perfect. They want to go to Harvard or MIT and they want to be perfect. And perhaps for many years they felt like they were perfect until one day they went from having an A to an E. And I don't know if you've heard these stories before, but I've seen it and heard it in some of the Asian countries that are out there where people said, "Oh my gosh, I failed.
mhm,
I failed because I got a bad grade."
mm.
And they can't cope. And you've had people commit suicide because they can't cope because all of a sudden their 4.0 is not a 4.0.
Yes.
So it goes both ways. You could be doing everything by the book and feel like everything is okay. And then you drop one thing and realize, wait a minute, I failed. I failed something. So you're not perfect. I say take a deep breath. Again, erase the stigma. If you have to laugh and chuckle about it, we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. So
Yes.
keep that in mind too.
Yep. So, first of all, the pain, and my
Yeah.
prayers are going out not just to the players, but the family members, the moms, the dads, the caregivers. I can't imagine. I saw on Dr. K. Whitehead's Facebook page, she actually knew some of the families, and she thought about the fact that the young men that lives were taken, they were in like Division 1 sports. And
Right.
so that meant that they had to build up at such a young age to get to where they were, to have their lives snuffed out because of an untreated mental illness in another young person. This was not a car accident. This was not something that was a freak accident. It was very intentional. And so, and it was our Black men, it was our Black boys. And so when you hear us talking about this tonight, please don't just idly walk aside and say, they're talking about mental health again. We know what to do. But do you recognize the signs and all? They don't just come, as Dr. Ellison just said, they're sleeping all day. They are, the lights out and it's dark. Some of them come with high functionality. They keep themselves constantly busy. You know, um, they sometimes it comes with they have asthma. They think they have asthma, but they can't breathe in certain situations. But those are actually sometimes symptoms of having anxiety. Now, we're not diagnosing anybody on here. Anything that you hear us saying on here tonight, please check with your primary care physician. Please call these numbers that we have on the screen so you can be properly diagnosed by a professional. We are talking about conversations about mental health in general. We're not diagnosing anybody on here. We're bringing awareness to a very big issue that we want to save as many lives as possible. At the very least, change the trajectory of what your thinking is regarding getting some help for not only you, but your young people. Okay. So we're going to go to our next question. We only have like few more questions left, Dr. Ellison. I'm not going to keep going. We're just kind of giving everybody a taste here. We're not going to go on all night. And also, some people talk about the controllability aspect of different mental health issues. How much does an individual trust that an illness can be treated? Do they think it can be cured, or do they believe that treatment won't help?
That's a good question here. Um, I just think of it this way. We talk a lot. We're saying mental health, but I like to take that word health and push it aside and turn it into mental wellness.
Mm,
Mental wellness, because it sounds different. We're just trying
mental
to be the
wellness.
best person we can be. Mental wellness. What can we do to be well? And we know when we go to the doctors, and I've seen this where they said, oh, the kid's bouncing up and down. They have a attention deficit disorder and they need to take medication.
Mhm,
And they prescribe medication right away. This may not be the perfect dose, they tell you. They say you may have to increase it, or they may reach a threshold and they may need more. And when I hear this and I see this and I hear the doctor saying, just give them this to calm them down and
mm,
they will be calm for a minute. There are after effects, and there's all kinds of things that can happen when you talk about medication and medicating people with mental who want to be mentally well. I say be careful of what they prescribe to you. I say yes, please go see a doctor. And then also make that appointment, have that discussion, but
mhm,
also take a closer look at what they're giving you to take as well. Make sure it's not something that's going to be addictive in the long term and drive you from that particular pill to another pill to another pill until you've you're out of control. And that sometimes happens. So
yes.
I say be careful what they give you and just really think about it as mental wellness. I think that's a whole better
Absolutely.
perspective.
Yes, mental wellness. That even to me makes it feel a little more inviting. We are all, on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. You can see us all on there with different foods to eat. We want to do the sea malls. We want to drink the mushroom coffee, taking care of our health. But when we say mental wellness, that opens up another window of, I need to be the best person that I can be. I need to have this. And also, there was another part where we were reading this article, and it says, there are many cultural factors, societal pressures, and stereotypes that may influence beliefs about mental health in the Black community. And that is very true. You just addressed that. There are, but you don't stop. At first, when I remember some years ago, when I started looking for behavioral therapists for my children, for the different things that we were going through. And the reason why I'm transparent about it is because I believe that when you are transparent, not transparent to a fault, but when you're transparent enough to say, hey, you know what? I understand. I need help. I need to talk to someone. While that search was going on, sometimes it took us a while to find the right therapist. And that
Mhm.
process can be frustrating, but at the same time, we eventually did find someone and it worked. And it was a blessing to my entire family. So it was worth the effort that we put into finding the right therapist to talk to. And I want you all to know not to be discouraged, not with your insurance, not with a particular therapist. Just like you can go and change your doctor, you can change your therapist because you need to find the right fit and it does help. It makes all the difference in the world. And also, there are so many other hot topics we can talk about: the systemic racism, the lack of community
Yeah.
sensitive treatment by providers. We could go into that, but I think that's going to be for another segment.
Yeah.
And we will bring that up because it's very important that we address that issue. So I want to look at some of the questions here that we have in our chat. We have someone said, I can't find a psychiatrist. I'm hoping that Joanne, you get in contact with us so we can help you with that journey. Someone else is saying, Amanda Marie is saying, that's awesome. We have Jillian Miller, our good community friend that was just running for office. She said, we need to break the stigma of mental health concerns in our community. Thank you, ladies, for bringing awareness to this. So, yes, thank you all for joining us. This is an ongoing topic. This is just a beginning of a beginning. And so, again, Dr. Ellison, thank you so much for your time tonight. We know
Thank
that
you.
we can talk about this for quite a long time, but all of our listeners on Facebook and all of our listeners on YouTube, just know that this is not the end of our discussion about mental health. We are just hitting the surface, so to speak, about this. Um, and so, if there are other questions or other topics in regards to mental wellness that you have and you want to ask us, even after this show is over, we will look at the chat. We will look on our social media pages, and you have access to call us. Please reach out to us. We want to talk to you because we want to save lives. We want to help change the trajectory of what we are thinking about Black health here, not just in Harford County, but whosoever will. Okay. And so, again, thank you. And for all the parents that are bringing young ladies this Friday, we are excited for you. Again, even if you're a community leader listening to this, you are invited to come out between 6:30 and 7:30 and walk around. But at 7:30, you're going to get kicked out because it's going to be us and the girls, and they're going to have a wonderful time. We will have a game that night for parents where you can win some prizes as well. The Sickle Cell Association of Harford County is going to be there, and they are giving out some prizes for upwards to $1,000. And also, if you got that email from me and you participated in the contest closes tonight, actually at midnight. And if you need that information, maybe I'll type it in there. I'll let y'all look at it and see if you can get the questions in. I'll type it in here real quick. Go to their website. I think it's if I can't before this, I'm gonna type it in there so you guys can go on there. At midnight it closes. It's all bringing awareness to the stigma to help you better understand what sickle cell is, and that's 16 questions. First prize is $1,000. Second prize is $500. Third prize is $250. And the winner, the treasurer for sickle cell, will be in that building that night to give them the check to the winner. And also, I will put that in. But if you're a member of sickle cell, you cannot participate. But if you're not a member of sickle cell and you're listening to me, you can participate in this particular contest. So again, Dr. Ellison, thank you so much. We are definitely going to have you back on future broadcasts. And for all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening to Let's Talk About It. And we are out.